Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Age of Sigmar 3rd edition, and today we're going to be looking at the Soulblight Gravelords, and in particular, the Kastelai Dynasty. We're going to talk about what we get from a Kastelai Dynasty army to begin with, what exactly makes it special in a Soulblight Gravelords army, and then we will go and look at some units we can start our force with and look at units we can expand upon after these initial purchases as well, when finally finishing off the video with a little sample army list for you to get some inspiration to create your own Kastelai Dynasty Soulblight Gravelords army, or indeed copy ours if that's what you wish to do. And so, to get started, Soulblight Gravelords, we're going to get all of those generic sort of rules we get due to being a Soulblight Gravelords sub-faction with the Kastelai Dynasty, which is pretty cool. So we're going to have a bunch of nice little things. But what do we get exactly with Kastelai Dynasty? What makes this special? For starters, our vampire units will gain some in-game benefits as they kill different sorts of enemy units throughout the game. So if we manage to kill an enemy hero or monster, we'll add one to the damage characteristic of melee weapons used by that unit, excluding mounts. If we manage to kill a model with a wounds characteristic of 3 or more that's not a hero or monster, we add one to the wounds of all our models in the unit. Or if we kill something with 2 or less wounds, so, you know, your generic sort of troops, we will get to add 2 to run and charge rolls for that unit. All some pretty nice abilities, and this does apply to both our vampire heroes and our units of Blood Knights, which will become battle line our Blood Knights in Kastelai Dynasty. The Shifting Keep will also give our Blood Knights some cool extra rules. We'll be able to deploy them off the table and have them come on from the board edges and outflank our opponent's army throughout the course of the game. This just gives us a ton of different use for the Blood Knights, which is really nice. So yeah, some cool ambush rules. Blood Knights is battle line. I guess you can guess where this army is going. It is Blood Knight Central here. And so we begin with looking at what units we should pick up to start with, and I think the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon is a fantastic hero to start with for your Kastelai Dynasty army. Now, your Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, what exactly do we get with this? Well, we get a really decent monster hero available to us thanks to this model. Vampire Lords on Zombie Dragons are just a really solid hero all round. 3-up save, 14 wounds, a decent move, which does the grade. They start at 14 and it can get down to 6 when they're pretty heavily damaged. They're a wizard. They can cast and dispel once per turn. They can self-heal. They've got a ranged attack that does a little bit of damage. Death Lancers on them as well, get some extra damage when they charge. And they've got some other cool abilities as well. And so 435 points is a pretty decent cost. They're not cheap at all, but you've got some really good sort of attacks coming out. The Snapping Maw with 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, Ren 2, damage D6. Sword-like Claws putting out 7 attacks at top bracket at 4s, 3s, Ren 1, damage 2. And then looking at your Death Lance, normally 3 attacks, 3s, 3s, Ren 1, damage 2. But also if you manage to charge, you add 2 to the damage of it and improve its Ren by 1, so which would make it Ren 2, damage 4 on the charge. So some really solid power there. On top of that, you're also going to get your own built-in spell as well. So Curse of Exsanguination is nice, casting value of 6. You pick one enemy unit within 18 inch. The unit suffers a mortal wound, and if the mortal wound is allocated to a model unit and not negated, the model is not slain by the mortal wound. You can roll a dice. On a 4+, they suffer another mortal wound, and keep rolling until a model dies. Pretty cool stuff, like a nice solid one. This could get rid of, you know, like, this is really fun. I've seen this work on like a unit of Man Crusher Gargants, where it's taken out a whole Man Crusher Gargant from start to finish because you got hot and lucky. Now, speaking of units, of course we're going to talk about Blood Knights. They're battle line in Kastelai Dynasty. Why would we not want to take them? 10-inch move, 3 wounds apiece, 3-up save, bravery 10. This is just all round solid. Templar Lancers, a blade, 3 attacks, 3 3s, Ren 1, damage 1. And we're also going to get the cool ability where Martial Fury, we add 1 to the damage characteristic if they've charged in the turn, turning them up to Ren 1, damage 2. Not to mention all the different Kastelai bonuses we can get if we manage to actually take down some monsters or stuff like that. We're going to get some extra damage on them, really making them quite deadly. Riders of Ruin is really cool as well. In the movement phase, if these units within 3 inch, so within combat range, it can make a normal move. If it does so, it can pass across other models with wounds characteristic of 3 or less. Any unit passed across, roll a dice on a 2-up, they take D3 mortal. So you're effectively trampling someone underfoot with your charge from your Blood Knights. Really cool. It says it's a normal move, even if they're within range. This is really cool, meaning they have to end outside of 3, but it means they can still charge after because they haven't run or retreat. It's a normal move. The Hunger, really cool for some self-healing on them as well. Standard Bearers allow you to reroll 1s anytime you're using the Deathless Minions battle trait for this unit, and your champion's going to get an extra attack. The Nightmares also put in, a couple of extra attacks. 3 attacks at 4s and 4s, no rend damage 1 is a nice little addition. An all-round really solid unit. 195 points for 15 wounds is pretty decent, especially on that 3-up save, meaning you can go down to that all-important 2-up. Really decent unit to start with. You've got a whole 3-up save army here with your Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon and the Blood Knights. Looking at other places we can go to expand upon this force though, Vengorian Lords are certainly an alternate option to the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragons. They're still a vampiric monster, they're still a vampire, so they're still going to get all the cool bonuses for killing different sorts of units on the battle. Vengorian Lords, I like to think, are a little bit less offensive than a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. They've got some really cool stuff like to negate rend, they've got abilities where they might be able to get run and charge, but they won't be able to use command abilities in the same turn. All round, they hit pretty solidly as well. They do have some 4-ups to hit, like the Zombie Dragon it does as well. So they do have some of those issues, the same as the Zombie Dragon, but they can really do some damage on their own. The -1 rend means they keep in the fight longer. They've got a decent save as well. Only 10 wounds, so they are a lot more susceptible to just getting hammered than a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, but I think a really good, solid alternate option. Speaking of alternate options, we have Prince Vordry. One of the coolest things I always say about Soulblight Gravelords is every sub-faction has a named character available to them, and Prince Vordry is a specific build you can make out of the Zombie Dragon kit with the Vampire Lord. Prince Vordry, he's 20 points more than your average Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, 14 wounds, 3-up save still. His Blood Lance is 4 attacks at 3/3, rend 2, damage 2 base. So this means his Blood Lance, when he gets the charge, is going to put him up to rend 3, damage 4. Pretty nice stuff. Snapping Maw and Sword-like Claws, pretty standard sort of stuff there for the Zombie Dragon. His Chalice of Blood allows him to heal D6 wounds once per battle. And then he's got the Breath of Shaiish, where in the suiting phase you can pick one enemy unit within 9 inches of this model. Roll a dice. On a 3+, the unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the value of the Breath of Shaiish rule. D6 normally. Pretty solid stuff. He's also got other cool things like the Fist of Nagash, which is his command ability. You can pick a friendly Soulblight Gravelords hero, hold within 12 inch. That's an other Soulblight Gravelords hero, so he's generally good as your second option for a hero. And that hero can fight, which is pretty nice in the hero phase. Fight in the hero phase for a different Soulblight Gravelords unit. His special spell is called Quick Blood, casting value is 7. Successfully cast, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons with a caster, so pretty cool stuff there. Other hero options we have, because there are a lot of hero options, and I think this is where the options really come when thinking of what we're going to take as our hero options of bolstering our Blood Knights. A Bloodseeker Paladin is another option we have available to us. Their big thing is they're going to get a fine vintage, where if an enemy hero is slain within 9 inches of them, they add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly vampire units, hold within 12 inch until your next hero phase. Some cool stuff there. Wail of the Damned, they've got a nice little mortal wound shooting, and Blood Siphon is the spell they can cast, which is cast on the 6 and successfully cast. You pick an enemy hero within 12 inch and that visible unit to them. On a 1 to 2 and 1 mortal, and then potentially on a 5 to 6 will suffer D6 or D3 otherwise. Lastly, we have the Coven Throne, another vampire hero option available to the army. The Coven Throne's got some other cool abilities. So, the Coven Throne's special thing is going to be the Scrying Pool, where once per turn you can reroll 1 hit roll, wound, or save roll for this model. And you've also got Tactical Insight, which is a commanded ability for them. You pick a friendly Soulblight Gravelords unit, hold within 12 inches of them, until your next hero phase, add 1 to hit and wound rolls, and add 1 to save rolls for that unit. Really, really solid command ability there. But that is all the options for heroes. You can definitely want to maybe think about picking up some chaff or some objective grabbers or some other units as well. Things like Fellbats, skeletons, zombies, direwolves. all have a place within this army. I just want to talk about the 4 sort of character options a lot more, because they are going to play a much more important role when sort of buffing your vampires, and then your other stuff's just going to fill in the rest of your 4s. And so here we have our sample army list. We've gone for Kastelai Dynasty, Shaiish, of course, Soulblight Gravelords, Prize Sorcery. It doesn't really matter what you go, Prize Sorcery. Whether you go Beastmaster or you go something like Hold the Line, I think all 3 of those are pretty similar. You could also go Predator's Domain as well. You've got a lot of fast-moving units in the force, so that is another option. Now we've got the Vampire Lord on the Zombie Dragon as our hero option for the army. He's going to be our general. He's going to have his Death Lance. I just like the ability to charge. And he's going to have a Craving for Massacre as his command trait. A Craving for Massacre is going to give him the cool ability of just run and charge. Really, really solid. Artifact Fragment of the Keep is a nice artifact to chuck on them. I think there are a couple of different options for some cool artifacts of power you have available to the Kastelai Dynasty, but subtracting 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target the bearer I think is really nice for keeping him alive. Standard of the Crimson Keep for -1 to hit with melee against missile weapons is also another good option. He's going to have the Mount Trek Photon Miasma. This is something you can take out of the White Dwarf update, and then a Universal Spell Lore Flaming Weapon for +1 damage on all of his, for one of his different weapons. Normally the Dragon's Claws are really the best place to go with this, I think, or the Lance if you're managing to charge. Battle line wise, 2 units of 5 Blood Knights, and then we've got 2 units of 3 Fellbats in there as well. Now, the reason we've gone for Flaming Weapons, you can normally see a lot of Vampire Lords with Amethystine Pinions as a spell. This is normally the one we sort of see. Now, this gives us the ability to add 6 inch to his move. So, I don't think we really need this. With the ability to run and charge, you're getting 6 inch in there anyway, and so you're able to pick a different spell and go with some damage instead. Fellbats here are just going to be objective grabbers, sort of after we've sort of killed stuff, going in, grabbing objectives where our Blood Knights and Vampire Lord have already left the place. We've got a Battle Regiment, which is going to include the Vampire Lord and the 2 units of Fellbats, but then we've got Hunters of Heartlands on our 2 units of Blood Knights. This is mostly to stop them being roared. We don't want to not be able to use command abilities on them for +1 to hit, or +1 save if we need it. So Hunters of the Heartlands, really important for stopping those monstrous rampages working on the unit. We are 975 points, so there's a good chance we are going to get the Triumph, and we've got 62 wounds and 3 drops. The Triumph we've gone for Bloodthirsty. The reason we're going for the charge in this, when those Blood Knights, if they're going to come in from the board edge, a 9 inch charge can be hard to make, so being able to re-roll it for free is nice. But also, there are some options you can play around with. Like I said, you've got the Vengorian Lord as another option to the Vampire Lord. But also, we've got 20 points spare, so you could definitely go for Vordry if you want a named character, though you would lose a lot of the stuff we've got on here. So I do think the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon is best as your first Vordry if you're grabbing a second Vampire Lord. If you've been playing with Soulblight Gravelords and Kastelai Dynasty in 3rd edition, let us know how you've been going and what you've been doing down in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. And lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so either via Patreon or YouTube members, and both of those are linked again down in the video's description. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, I'd like to give a shout out to them all. So a special thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dynet226, and Derek. And a special shout out to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Locklorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, Ariana Airwoods, and Sean Scott. Lastly, a special thanks, first of all, to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing Discord server background work for us. Thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.